ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यामनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुकुं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Wonderful. We welcome you all for today's Nectar of Devotion class. We are starting a new chapter, chapter 6, How to Discharge Devotional Service. Now, even in material life, if we want to achieve something sublime, we want to actually get some secrets. Like, for an example, I remember one of my friend who was a colleague, um, he, he appeared for Google. And when he appeared for Google, he prepared it for months. And then finally cracked, he got the job. And he said, I'll give you a secret, I'll teach you what all things you should prepare, and then you can get in as well. So the point is anything which we apparently, even in material world thinking something called as sublime, we need to actually crack the formula. How do I do that? Now, this is the chapter which is focusing on how do we perform devotional service so that we can attain Krishna's lotus feet. How do we perfectly do it? So this chapter is majorly focusing on that one. So I'm going to click on that. Rupa Goswami state that his elder brother Sanatan Goswami. So let me elaborate a little more. So Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami. Let me share their little past. So Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they were actually born in Brahman family. They were extremely rich. So what had happened is during that time the Mughals were ruling. So what Mughals would do, they would actually kill people and they will convert people into Muslims. Like today, a lot of people change them to Christianity, but that's basically a different way. But earlier, if Muslim touches you or um, he throws a water on you, you have to become Muslim. So they were harassing everyone. And at the time, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, Shakar Malik and I forgot their Karmi name. I can't recollect. Sorry, please forgive me about that. So to save, they were actually trying to destroy the temple. And they asked Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, if you become our prime ministers of the kingdom, then we will not trouble people. So they decided for welfare of other people, we will become Muslims. And they actually became their ministers. And they were so highly efficient that the Mughals were, or whoever was the kingdom, they were actually earning a lot of money. And they were really conquering every country next and all that stuff. But by heart, they were very pure hearted devotees of Krishna. And the time came when Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they kind of retired from the duty. They were actually jailed first, because this president, whoever was the king of that Muslim king, when he got to know he doesn't want to accept the job, then they decided we will put them in jail, and somehow they escaped the jail. And they finally took the shelter of Rupa. Finally they took Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. They finally took shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna. And then their name changed to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. So they were so wealthy. During that time, they were billionaire. We are talking about 1700s. So you can imagine what will be their position now. So they renounced everything and they took the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them instruction that you go and find out the lost places of Vrindavan and write scriptures. And that's how we actually see Rupa Goswami's writing such wonderful books like Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion. So that's little history. So here Rupa Goswami states that Srila Rupa Goswami states that his elder brother Sanatan Goswami has compiled Hari Bhakti Vilas for the guidance of Vaishnava, and therein has recommended many rules and regulations to be followed by Vaishnavas. Anything we do in material life also, there are certain rules and regulations. Even at the job, there are certain rules and regulations. Similar way in bhakti also, there are certain rules and regulations. Some of them are very important and prominent, and Srila Rupa Goswami will now mention these very important items for our benefit. The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not detail. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept the spiritual master. Like we need a teacher in our life to actually do mundane education. Even in spiritual life, for us to actually attain Krishna's lotus feet, we need to have a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instruction of spiritual master is considered a detail. For example, if one is following the instruction of spiritual master, that instruction is different from the instruction of another spiritual master, this is called as detailed information. So one has to understand what is the mood of the spiritual master. Like for an example, Srila Prabhupada's guru's guru, his name is no, yeah, guru's guru. His name was Srila Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj. So Srila Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj was a very staunch sadhu, very powerful sadhu. So when he left his body, he put an instruction saying that you drag my body in all places and finally throw it for vultures to eat. That was his instruction. My body is useless. At least let it be used in some way. So when Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj left his body, all the disciples, because they were very well, he was very well known, so they said, oh, you know what, he's my spiritual master, so I should have a control over his body. And they said what we should do is we should drag his body on the street and throw it for vultures to eat, because that's what our Guru Maharaj said on the face value. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is actually spiritual master of our Srila Prabhupada, who actually compiled all these scriptures into English language, he said, you fool, one has to understand the heart of spiritual master. The spiritual master did not mean to actually drag his body on the street and give it to vulture. He's a paramhamsa. He was thinking, what is my body, what is the use of my body, let it be used. But that does not mean on verbal plane we have to accept that. So there is a very detailed aspect of understanding spiritual master's instruction, and one has to understand how to follow that. Like one of the maybe I will not distract that and we will continue this. um, but the basic principle of acceptance of spiritual master is good everywhere, although the detail may be different. Srila Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into details here, but wants to place before us only the principles. Naresh Prabhu, can you read the next paragraph?
Yes, Prabhu. He mentions the basic principles as follows: accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master, becoming initiated by the spiritual master, and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion, following in the footsteps of great acharyas under the direction of the spiritual master, inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness, being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This means that when we are engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, we must be prepared to give up something that we may not like to give up. And also, we have to accept something that we may not like to accept.
Hmm.
Residing in a sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwarakan or Vrindavana, accepting only what is necessary or dealing with the material world only as far as necessary, observing the fasting day on Ekadasi and worshipping sacred trees like the banyan tree.
Very nice. Let's discuss these instruction very importantly. First and foremost, accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master. Very interesting. Before coming to SCON, I never heard the concept of lotus feet. Why it is considered to be lotus? Do you know what is the significance of lotus flower? Anyone knows? So the lotus
Water
flower,
drop, Prabhuji, like
come again.
the water drop, it won't, no, even if you
Very
put
nice. Yes. Yes. That's one. Let me start from here. First and foremost thing, the lotus flower grows in a muddy water. Wherever lotus flower grows, they that's not the clean water ever. So lotus flower grows in the muddy water, not a clean water, and then lotus flower, even if it is there in muddy water or a water which is not so clean, it is never affected by the water drops. So even if the water drops, its surface is like so waxy, if any drop goes, it just falls off that. And that is very important, which means what? The lotus is unaffected by the circumstances around him or whatever is the situation around him. So similar way, the spiritual master, though they are living in material world, but they are beyond the modes of material nature. They are not affected by the modes of material nature, and that is why it is considered to be Krishna's feet are considered to be lotus feet, and spiritual master who is non-different from Krishna. He is not Krishna, but he is non-different from Krishna, which means he is not Krishna, but we should treat him like Krishna because Guru is the one who guides the path. This is very important principle. Guru is not God. Guru is a messenger of God, and messenger has to be treated same as God. And that's a very important subject one has to understand. So that's the first aspect. Second is becoming initiated by the spiritual master. What is the meaning of initiation? Initiation is a contract in material world, if you have to say, between spiritual master and disciple, where disciple promises that he will follow certain rules and regulations so that it becomes a when it anything becomes a contract, which means you are obliged to follow that, you cannot escape. That's on the material law. So spiritual law, it is even more higher, that I promise to chant 16 rounds, so which means whatever happens, I will chant my 16 rounds, and then following four regulative principles, which means it's a serious business now. And why it is serious business? Actually, there is His Holiness Radhanand Maharaj is coming this Wednesday. He's coming actually tomorrow, and then there are initiations on Wednesday. So what is the significance of this aspect is, a spiritual master, when he initiates a disciple, he takes away all their karmas. Can you imagine? Anybody in our, if you ask them, hey, can you take my karma? Even the closest family member will not come in front of you, because handling karma is very difficult, especially bad karma. And this was a similar thing when with that hunter who was trying to kill the animals. Narada Muni came. He said, "Why are you killing?" He said, "I'm taking care of my family." He said, "Go and ask your family, will they share the karma you are receiving by killing these?" When he went home, the family said, "Why should we take it? That's your responsibility. You suffer. We don't have to." Then he realized, "Arey, nobody is going to help me. Why am I struggling so hard then?" And he surrendered to Narad Muni. So this is an important principle which is being brought in here, that one should get initiation from spiritual master. The third one is obeying the orders of spiritual master with faith and devotion. One time, Srila Prabhupada had one of the disciple. So at that time there was the episode of moon landing. So there was actually Russia which was trying to reach the moon first, and states, America wanted to defeat that. So they went on moon. That's what was shown on the TV. So these devotees were there, and especially one devotee who was actually a scientist, but he accepted devotional service. He said, Prabhupada, look at that, they went to moon. Prabhupada said, then they can never enter the moon, because moon is a heavenly planet, and you cannot go to moon with your mundane body. You need to have sufficient good karma to go there. Later, there are a lot of documentaries you can find on the internet that they never went there. They actually went to one of the desert in Arizona and created a movie that we landed into moon, because they wanted to be the first one to get that record. Anyway, so what had happened is this person, Prabhupada, I see they are landing on the moon. Prabhupada said, no, they can never land on moon. So he was bewildered. Arey, how come Prabhupada is saying, I understood whatever you are saying spiritually, but materially I know it. They landed on moon. He left that moment. Why? Because he did not have faith. He did not have faith. And that's an important aspect one has to understand. Like I give this example, I told it multiple times. One time, a student went to a teacher, music teacher. I want to learn music. So he asked, how much is the fee? He said 200 rupees. You remember that story?
Yes.
What was the culmination of that story?
I mean, the another person, I mean, second person, he
Ah,
says, I know some music, but still he wants to join. Then he charges more for that student. So it's
yes, very nice. Yes. And why did he charge more?
because it's easy to know make them understand. The person who doesn't know anything, than the
Yes,
person has off knowledge.
correct. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. So the first guy was charged 200 rupees. Second student came. First student, he asked, do you know music? He said, yeah, I know ABC, whatever he mentioned. Well, wonderful. You will pay 200 rupees. Another guy came. He said, do you know music? He said, no. Okay, so for your, it's 100 rupees. So the first guy said, Arey, I know music and you're charging me more. This guy doesn't know music and you're charging him less. Like, yes, first and foremost thing, whatever wrong way of understanding you have, I have to erase all that stuff. That's why your fee is double. Similar way, when we come to spiritual master on the spiritual plane, we bring in so many material conception of our life. So we have to give up those. And one has to actually be submissive to actually give up those. Like in this case, the moon landing example I gave. One should inquire from spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. You go to spiritual master, Guru Maharaj, I want to become a millionaire. Can you guide me how to become a millionaire? Is that the right inquiry? You are not here to we are not the body, we are the soul. Ultimately, one has to aspire to go beyond the platform of body, right? So you don't go to spiritual master taking your Monday problem, how can I become rich, how can I get a better job, and all that stuff. Those are material problems. So one should know what to inquire from spiritual master. Being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. This means that when we are engaged in devotional service of Krishna, we must be prepared to give up something that we may not like to give up. And also, we have to accept something that we may not like to accept. For an example, when I came to Bhakti, for me, I want to share my personal story if you don't mind. So, I was working in Pune and I bought a flat. I bought a flat at a very high floor, and Pune is a very beautiful city. There are mountains around. So there were a lot of mountains around. I'm like, wow, this is great. I want to buy this house so that I can sit in the balcony and have tea, because I was very attached to tea and I used to drink a lot of tea. So how much I bought the flat for? 26 lakhs at that time, very long back. And when I came to Bhakti, within couple of months, I left tea, coffee, and then onion, garlic, and whatever is there. And I would tell this joke to friends, all of my devotee friends. Can you imagine to drink a cup of tea? I paid 26 lakhs. Because when we come to Bhakti, there are certain aspects we shouldn't mind giving up. At the same time, there shouldn't we should also understand what we should not say no for. Like for example, Um, I went to Pune temple and I went for a Sunday feast. Sunday feast is a forum which is there everywhere around the world. Any temple you see, ISKCON temple, there is always a Sunday feast. I went there and I was standing in the line for prasad. And I reached finally where they were giving the plate. And I just came from Sydney at that time and I asked him, Prabhu, how much Lakshmi I have to give? He said, no, you must be chanting 16 rounds. You can chant extra rounds. And I was shocked because I was not even chanting 16 rounds. And here the expectation is that you are already chanting 16 rounds. Now you chant extra rounds on top of it. And I felt very guilty. And one day I was attending a class and then I was sitting, there were a lot of devotees there. So I came little late. So I was towards the end and there was a sheet being circulated and everyone would put how many rounds they are chanting. And finally that sheet came to me. When I saw that sheet, I was the last one to fill that in, to be precise, because I was the last one sitting down, and I had a habit always to compare. So I turned away turned the sheet on the front, and I saw 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, and on the back 16, 16, 16, 16, 16. Are everyone is chanting 16 rounds. How can I put zero here? So I also wrote 16. I wrote 16. Next day morning, this was Friday. Next day morning, I woke up on Saturday and I'm like, I put a wow that I'm chanting 16 ounce, which means I have to stick to my words. So is my video pause for you? Is that the case? Okay, now it is working. So which means I have to chant 16 rounds. So that day I chanted 16 rounds. And by Krishna's mercy and pray for me, I never turned back from 16 rounds. So the point which I wanted to bring in is that when we come to bhakti, there are certain things we should not be attached to give up, and there are certain things even if we don't like, we should accept them, which is very important, whether we like it or we do not like it. Residing in sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwarka and Vrindavan. So does it mean we leave our places, we leave our job and go to Vrindavan and Dwarka? Vrindavan and Dwarka, even if you go in Vrindavan, Dwarka, even monkeys live in Vrindavan and Dwarka, right? What do? They enjoy sex life with the opposite monkey, male or female. That's not the point we are talking about. We are talking about we may not be able to physically live in Vrindavan and Dwarka, but we should live in our consciousness. We should always think about the holy places of Krishna and we should always think, imbibe the mood of Vrindavan. How the Vrajavasis were always putting themselves second and putting Krishna first. Similar way, what is actually true Vrindavan consciousness is I'm ready to give up anything and everything to attain Krishna. This is actually real meaning of living at the sacred place of Dwarka and Vrindavan. In such places you wake up early, you take a bath, you chant the name of Krishna, you read holy scriptures, you visit holy places. So similar thing you can do. Every temple is not different from Vrindavan. So you take a bath, you chant the name of Krishna, you do your work, you offer bhoga to Krishna. Remember these holy places of Krishna, read scriptures. That's actually the real meaning of living into these sacred places. And the eighth one, which we also covered in Nectar of Instruction, what was that? Accepting only what is necessary or dealing with material world only as far as necessary. The more you increase the diameter of living in material world, having better facilities, having better whatever is there, which means you have to deal with material world more. And the more you will deal with material world, the more you will become conditioned to actually live in this material world. So one should really live a simple life just to maintain the body and soul together. And then fasting day on Ekadashi. Ekadashi is coming actually on Wednesday. One should fast on Ekadashi. Ideally, having, even if you can't do it, just have fruits and berries. If you can't handle fruits and berries, you want more, You can have sabudana and few non-grain items. You should follow Ekadashi. And worshipping the sacred trees like banyan tree, we don't have it unfortunately here. So that is not applicable. Any or that is not at least unfortunately applicable to us. Any questions here before we move forward?
Prabhuji, just the banyan tree. Are there any connection, Prabhuji, with banyan
Yes.
tree?
If you remember, Krishna spoke about banyan tree in Bhagavad Gita also. He specifically said this material world, there he spoke about a banyan tree concept and he talked about the reflection of banyan tree. So he said spiritual world is like a banyan tree and the reflection of banyan tree in the river is like a material world. So banyan tree, and I'll find out specific pastimes about banyan tree and share that. I can't recollect right now, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhuji, no problem.
But Krishna specifically mentions in Bhagavad Gita about banyan tree, and he also mentions out of all trees he is banyan tree.
Okay, okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, very good question. Thank you, Prabhu. Can you read the next paragraph, Prabhuji?
These 10 items are preliminary necessities for beginning the discharge of devotional service in regulative principles. In the beginning, if a neophyte devotee observes the above mentioned 10 principles, surely he will quickly make good advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. This is a very important principle. If you follow these 10 principles, which are mentioned here by Sanatan Goswami, and Rupa Goswami is just narrating 10 of them, there are many. If you do that, your progress in spiritual life will be much, much faster. Like a lot of time it happens. I've been doing this for so many years. I've been doing it for so much time. Why there is no change happening? Because one or the other way we are lacking into these 10 points and one has to take these 10 steps seriously. Go ahead, Prabhuji, read the next paragraph.
The next set of instruction is listed as follows. One should rigidly give up the company of non-devotees. One should not instruct a person who is not desirous of accepting devotional service. One should not be very enthusiastic about constructing costly temples or monasteries. One should not try to read too many books, nor should one develop the idea of earning his livelihood by lecturing on or professionally reciting Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. One should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. One should not be under the spell of lamentation in loss or jubilation in gain. One should not disrespect the demigods. One
Wow.
should not give unnecessary trouble to any living entity. One should carefully avoid the various offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord or in worshipping the deity in the temple. One should be very intolerant towards the blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his devotees.
Very nice. This is very, very important. Let's read one by one and continue like that. One should rigidly give up the company of non devotees. Now, when we go to our workplace, do we have devotees around? Unfortunately, no. So we are dealing with non devotees. So what do we do here based on this instruction? So when we talk about association, there are two kind of association. One is giving association and second is taking association. So for an example, okay, I can't remember the example. When we talk about giving, taking association, say you have a friend, very close friend, whatever you call it as, or he is a friend. He tells you, hey, let's go to a bar today and let's drink some wine. If you say yes, which means you are taking association, you are, your consciousness is affected by his association. However, if your consciousness is not affected by that person's association, which means you are not taking association. So for an example, you meet with your friend and then you are offering away, this is Bhagavad Gita I've been reading and it has transformed my life, why don't you read? He said, Jane do Bhagavad Gita ko, let's first go for a movie and then we will talk about it. And you think, हाँ ठीक है ना, बाद में he will take Bhagavad Gita, I will go with him to the movie. That is spoiled, right? Now you took association of him rather than uplifting himself. Sorry, uplifting him, you actually downgraded yourself. So this is a very important aspect. When we go to work, we deal minimal. We deal with matter, we deal with so many people, just hi hello and then finish it off. They say, oh, you know what, there is this party today, we are going to drink wine, come and join us. Hey, why don't you drink this glass? And you feel, oh yeah, just to be in the party I have to do that, right? So I will do that. No. So this is a very important aspect, which means when one should rigidly give up the company of non-devotees is when we're living in today's world with people who are not in devotional service. We should have that relationship only till the workplace, and we should not take their association. Rather, we should try to uplift their consciousness. Like yesterday, or day before yesterday, I had a neighbor. Maybe I'll just talk about that later. Okay, so let's move forward to the next one. One should not instruct a person who is not desire of accepting devotional service. So a lot of times we see we have good friends and we want to preach them. We want to bring them to bhakti. We try our best to give them bhakti, but rather than accepting bhakti, they just go away from it. So such people we should stop preaching. We should try to a certain time, and after a certain period of time you realize this is not working, you should give up. Otherwise, some of these people they actually start blaspheming Krishna. Arey, how can Krishna play Ras Leela? How can Krishna does like that? So better we avoid. We try to preach our friends and family members, but if they are not interested, they are just going against. We should not do that. One should not be very enthusiastic about constructing costly temples or monasteries. I have a question here. You see, Srila Prabhupada built so many wonderful big temples. Is he violating this rule? What do you think? That's why I wanted to discuss these points. They are very elaborative.
No, no, Prabhuji.
Sorry,
How?
I didn't understand the question, Prabhu.
Yeah, Mataji. This point says one should not be very enthusiastic about constructing costly temples or monasteries. So you see a lot of big temples Srila Prabhupada built. They are very, very beautiful.
Mhm.
So is this against this point?
I don't think so, Prabhu, because it's the you were helping other you were helping other devotees. So in a big temple, there is a lot of devotee can come together and higher energy and
Yes.
preaching others at the same time. So no, I don't think so, Prabhu.
Very good. Okay, thank you. You want to add something, Naresh Prabhu?
Prabhuji, yeah, if the main purpose is only for the temple, then it's a wrong, Prabhuji. But the main purpose is something to teach spiritually. Then it is good, Prabhuji. Like
Very nice.
if
Very
you're
nice.
earning money out of the temple, your concept is just earn money, and then it's wrong.
You both are awesome. Very wonderful points, actually. Thank you for bringing that up.
Prabhuji, mm, you know, we had the same question, Prabhuji. I think before you, we were attending. Uh, the Prabhuji's name, I forgot. Uh, he's
But
a new Badrani Prabhu.
uh,
Badrani Prabhu, right? I think similar question came up. Then I think Bhimesh Prabhu or someone asked, yes,
uh,
then why they built golden temple in New Vrindavan?
uh,
They like there are so many challenges, right?
yeah.
Then Prabhuji gave responses like it's like students, right? Out of love and true, they build that temple. So if you're doing in the right way, which is good. If your purpose
Very
is
good.
different,
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing that. Very insightful. Prabhupada was there sitting on they acquired the costliest building in New York, downtown. Prabhupada was sitting there and the disciples were very happy. Prabhupada, what do you think? You are now owning this building. ISKCON is owning that building. What do you think? Prabhupada said it's nice, but my heart is there in Radha Madan Mohan temple, which is there in Vrindavan. And if you go room, it's hardly a very small room, maybe double the size of regular, like very short bathroom, half bathroom. That's the size of Prabhupada where he used to stay. This is called as renunciation. So even if you build the temple, coming back to Mataji, which and your point, this is for Krishna and this is to attract people to temple. Not that I want my name and fame behind the temple. I am detached. I am only connected. I am only attached to Krishna. And that's an important aspect. A lot of time people build such temples to get the name and name. That's the point which has been brought in here. Very good. Thank you so much for being engaged here. One should not try to read too many books, nor should one develop the idea of earning his livelihood by lecturing or professionally reciting Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. If you use scriptures to earn money out of it, that becomes a business. Spiritual education should always be free. And that's an important concept which one has to understand. It should not be charged. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I just have some question, Prabhuji, here.
Mm,
But the current, whatever the time we are having, right? Even before, I mean, 20 years ago, it was different. Let's say
mm.
the priest, whoever comes to our home, we offer some money and, some rice or
Yes.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Thing. But now it's like, nobody is giving, or let's say, even if you're asking something, I mean, if you're offering something, sometimes the priest they ask, we want
Oh,
this much money, or
ah,
sometimes what other people thinks like, okay, this brahmana is still asking money, so something, some different,
yes.
Prabhuji, opinions. So
Yes.
this is
Very
what
good.
happening, Prabhuji. As a brahmana, we should, we give the money, but here they are asking, and I don't know what is the correct and what is wrong in this
I'll come to that. Very good point.
current
Thank you. Thank you
current
for
time,
bringing.
Prabhuji, the confusion is there. Yeah.
Prabhuji, based on the principle earlier times, the Brahmanas would run their livelihood on the charity someone gives to them. And I'm specifically using charity. There is a difference between charity and fees. Charity is done willingly, and charity does not define that I need XYZ amount. So that is how it should, that is how earlier the Brahmanas were living on the on whatever the charity the other ashrams. So you,
Prabhuji is called
yes,
Bhiksha, is it?
diksha nahi
No,
mataji.
Bhiksha. Bhiksha.
Diksha, yes, thank you, yes, Bhiksha. So yeah, whatever charity the other person gives, they will survive on that. Like if you see Dronacharya was very poor Brahmana. You know that, right? And Dronacharya was the teacher of Pandavas and Kauravas. So they would ask, what Guru Dakshina we give? They were asking, not that "Arey, fees do either." The students will reach out and mention, what can I give it to you, my Guru Maharaj? And if Guru Maharaj gives, ask, then you can give. But Guru will not ask you that I need the charity. That's how it was designed. Now, what did happen is now very important point, and I'll cover two aspects, two sides of the story. If one Brahmana comes and performs a yajna on your behalf, if you do not give the charity, you do not get the phala of performing that ritual. That actually goes in the credit of Brahmana because he is doing, right? You are not doing it. He is the one who is doing it. He is reciting the mantra. So that's why we should always make sure we offer the charity to the Brahmana. Otherwise, you will not get the credit of that activity. If Brahmana asks money for that, unfortunately, the benefit he should be getting will not be received by him because he did that to do a transaction. And that's an important aspect. So one may say, अरे अभी करने का है तो क्या करना चाहिए? If we have to do the puja, what to do? Unfortunately, you as Brahmana, you pay that Lakshmi and then make him pleased. Now, what he does with him, unfortunately, we cannot control that. That's how it works.
So,
Next.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
in that case,
Mm.
uh, I understand for the puja purpose and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
At that moment, I'm not worried about even that. But when person dies, we
Mm.
have to do go through as a rituals for Hinduism.
Yes.
So
Yes.
then what? Like people are asking the who's the brahmanas, and we don't know a lot of scriptures reading. We don't know Sanskrit that much. So
Huh.
I don't even know if somebody's even specifically, like sometimes I have heard from other podcasters and all. I didn't know before that if you uh, pronounce the Sanskrit word independently, than it's
Yes.
supposed to be. So that means the meaning would be different.
Yes.
So at this moment, like, it's hard to find such a brahmanas,
Yes.
uh, like, who can actually
Yes.
performing
Mm.
like perfectly to do your after death rituals. So that
Yes.
means our ancestors even
Yeah.
not even going there.
You all are very engaged today. I'm very grateful. Super fantastic question. Let me elaborate more on that. In Kali Yuga, which is considered to be the lowest of all ages, you will not find, even if you find a Brahmana, even the paraphernalia, the fruits and whatever ghee you are offering in the yagna, that also has to be pure. Now, neither the paraphernalia is pure, neither the Brahmanas are pure, neither the Sanskrit recitation is pure. Now, one may say, oh, then I'm in deep trouble. What do I do now? So that's why Krishna, especially in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for Kali Yuga, they did not recommend performing these rituals. They recommended chanting the name of Krishna. So Hare Krishna Mahamantra, if that is chanted with a sincere desire, can offer a similar or even more better result than what these yajna could offer. And it's an important aspect one has to actually remember, that it has to be done that way. If you cannot do any other activity, but if you can chant the name Mahamantra Hare Krishna, that will purify and that will perfect everything. By any yajna which is done in ISKCON temple, even though they perform and sing the mantras, there is Hare Krishna Kirtan going on,
Mhm.
and they chant Hare Krishna Kirtan before and after. I was just sharing in one of the class, when my wife left this world, when she was leaving, the whole room was filled with devotees chanting Hare Krishna. And when we went for final rites to burn the body, at that time we were having tumultuous kirtan, very loudly calling out Krishna's name. And some devotees dancing. One may say, अरे कोई मर गया है, तुम डांस क्यों कर रहे हो? Why are you dancing? अरे when you are chanting the name, you are sincerely praying to Krishna to take care of the soul. And especially in this case, when she went back to Krishna, her spiritual master confessed in front of everyone that she is going back to Godhead. They were so happy that once finally went back to Godhead. It's such a joyous moment. Of course, it is difficult for the family, but at the same time, the reality is that everyone has to leave the body. And if someone goes to spiritual world, why not do that? That's a long answer, Mataji. Did I clarify?
Yes, Prabhu, somewhat.
What is remaining?
um so my question is, as a devotee for now, like, we understand a
Hmm.
little bit here and there, but people who haven't come to Krishna consciousness yet, for them, even we say that, take Lord Krishna's name whenever you can, but the thing is, let's say, who are in a vegetative state,
Hmm.
so that means they are not in a conscious mode. How
Yeah.
they can take uh, Krishna's name?
They can hear Krishna's name, which is equivalent to chanting Krishna's name.
Yeah, and coming back to that, Prabhu,
Yes.
my dad passed away in 2019.
Hmm.
So my dad was suffering for almost 1 month. So
Hmm.
I went from here to there,
Hmm.
and that time he probably saw me, but he did not realize that was me.
Yes. Okay.
But at the very last stage of him
Hmm.
staying there almost like a 1 month, I couldn't see him suffering,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I was not in Krishna consciousness in the back then.
Hmm.
But somehow it just came to me all of a sudden.
Hmm.
Like, I was chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra
Wow.
by my dad's ear. The day that I did, the same day he leaves his body.
Wow. Mataji, this is the greatest service you did to him. If one a person who is leaving his body or she is leaving her body, if they can hear Krishna's holy name, they get a very wonderful birth and next time to practice, which gives them an opportunity to practice bhakti.
Yeah, because he could not. He's multi-organ failures. He had a like kidney failure, lung failure, everything. But he hold my, like I was holding my dad's hand, but at first he couldn't um, grip. As soon as I chant the mantra, he grips my hand so tight.
This is very beautiful, Mataji. There are various experiences devotees have shared where Krishna's holy name somehow by one or the other. I'll tell you one another story. This devotee, Srila Prabhupada disciple, his mother was there. He left this world, and his mother was very old, and she was put into old age home. And in that old age home, she got very sick. There were no devotees around in that old age home, and nobody knew about her either. That this devotee's mother is this is old age. I mean, whatever it is. So she was there in that old age home, counting her final breaths in her room. Even in old age home, there are nurses who actually visit. So in her home, there was a nurse which came, and this nurse had a kantimala. And this mother asked, "Are you a Hare Krishna devotee?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "My son was like that. He left." And she heard Hare Krishna Maha Mantra from her mouth, and she left this world.
Oh.
What is the probability of a person who is living far away, no people are around? Or imagine a situation if someone is driving a car and they meet with an accident. This is what Krishna gives a promise. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if you somehow cannot remember me, I will make sure I will come in your consciousness and I will help you cross over this world. Tell me any company in the material world for which you work day and night, they promise you what to talk about you. I will give you everything, even not in this life and next life. Can any company promise you that I'll take care of you next life? Does your company offer you such role or such benefits?
No, Prabhuji.
Any company in the entire cosmic manifestation, which offers you this benefit?
No,
If you
Prabhu.
do, if you don't,
Definitely.
if you don't
We'll
perform well, they'll kick you
kick
out.
you out. What to talk about here? Krishna says, even if you chanted one name of Krishna, you leave Krishna, you kick him out. He will still come and help you. Why don't we work for such company then? Unlimited benefits. Not in this life, even you get in next life also. This is Krishna's magnanimity. Very beautiful aspect of Krishna consciousness. Even if one just chants the name of Krishna once, Krishna makes sure he or she is taken care of. Did
Prabhu.
I clarify now, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, I wanted to, because I live in Whitby where there is no such a thing, no ISKCON temple. There
Hmm.
is one Hare Krishna temple where it's very far,
Hmm.
and with the traffic and everything, it's not
Hmm.
possible for me to go there. So I
Hmm.
was just searching anywhere, like, and then the ISKCON temple here is only happens. I think they open only Sundays.
Ah, ah.
So that I was actually looking for like satsang group or something that I can join. But then unfortunately well, I found something which is the living of arts.
Hmm.
And then they have, I heard that they have satsang, so I was so um, like happy. And then I found out you have to pay for it to go there. I'm like,
Oh, really, Krishna? Which place you is that, Mataji?
but Prabhu, it's a art of living center.
Art of Living Center is not ISKCON, Mataji.
No, I know, but before I came I came to know all of you, and then I'm like, I understand, but I don't mind. But the thing is, this
We
much
don't pay
for
for
just a satsang,
yeah.
I don't.
Good, you, Madhuri, unfortunately can't talk about other people and other processes, but this is where Prabhupada gives even free prasad. What to talk about anything else? What to talk about institution and registering? Remind me again, where do you live in Canada, Mataji? Near Toronto?
In near Toronto, but I'm actually far from Toronto. I'm farther east from my place to go to Hare Krishna temple, which is in Toronto. Is actually hour and a half, but is a heavy
Yeah,
traffic.
I know. I was staying at one friend's house. There is a very big suburb of Toronto. Can you remind me what is the name? I forgot.
Uh, I live in Whitby.
No, there is a very big suburb near downtown or little far from downtown. What is the name of that suburb? Big one. Lot of Indians stay there.
Mississauga.
Mississauga. There is one center, Mississauga. Where is Mississauga close to you?
No, Babu. Everything is very far.
Okay. Okay. No problem,
Actually,
Madhuri.
Hare Krishna temple, which is in downtown Toronto, is not too far. But then again, that is one way traffic is
Yeah,
hour
I
and a
know.
half.
I know. I was very close to I was in Mississauga, which is not very far from temple, but at the same time very difficult. Madhaji, somehow by Krishna's arrangement, Naresh Prabhu, I'll tell you how Madhaji joined this program. So I have a very close friend who was my colleague. I just spoke to him actually. So I brought him to the program because he came here, and I asked him, "Why don't you join the program, buddy?" So he joined, but he did not join whatever we put it as. And he was telling, "Can you add one of my friend Momita Mataji?" And that's how she joined. So what's the possibility of this connection so that somehow you connected to Krishna consciousness and somehow you joined here? You accept that, Momita Mataji, or no?
Yes, Prabhu, 100%. Because
This is
I was
Krishna's
looking
arrangement.
for so many. Because again, we read the scriptures, we read the purport and everything, but it's someone has to tell like connection, like how to connect to Krishna or the his pastime, or so things that if you read the book, sometimes you just reading it. Sometimes you understand. Most of the time, you don't understand. So that's why I wanted that associations with others.
This is all Krishna's arrangement. We are all just an instrument, but this is all Krishna's arrangement. Even if one simply desires Krishna, how can I connect with you? Krishna provides.
Yes, Prabhu.
This is the very beauty about Krishna consciousness. So I know it's 8:28 or 8:26. Can we quickly go through these points? Is that okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Okay. One should not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. Even when we deal with people in material world, we should be very careful in dealing with them very nicely as much as possible. If someone behaves that way, we just run away or we just leave their association. One should not under the spell of lamentation and loss or jubilation and gain. I struggle on that. I'll be very honest. When something does not go right, I just get really bewildered. And when all of a sudden you get a bonus and all that stuff, and you become happy, oh, I got this money. Ultimately, we have to overcome that. I'm not qualified to speak on that, so I will pass because I'm struggling. One should not disrespect the demigods. Oh, Krishna, I can spend a whole class on that. I think I don't want to rushly cover this point because I made that mistake. When I came to Krishna consciousness, when Krishna is the Devatas of all Devatas, ultimately everything goes to Krishna. The mental is, oh, and now why do I have to care about Devatas? And I did that mistake. Oh, Krishna is a supreme. I have a supreme. I know Hare Krishna Ma mantra, which is the best of all mantras. Now I will just ridicule others. I will ridicule other processes. They are very lower. That's a very cheap mentality. One has to overcome that. The demigod have to be worshipped. They should be offered respect because they are at much higher position than we are. Why they have given that position? Because they didn't certain surrender to Krishna. That's how they got their position. They may not be completely pure, but they are still much more purer than where we are. And that is why one should not actually disrespect devatas. At the same time, one should not worship devatas for mundane desires. One has to be very careful. So I think I'll still cover that. And then one should not give unnecessary trouble to any living entity. One should be every dealing we should have, we become like a gentleman, because this process of Krishna consciousness, chanting the name of Krishna, should make our hearts soft, which means our dealings with other people should also be of that quality. Very important aspect. One should carefully avoid the various offenses in chanting of the holy name, which I'll cover next week. One should be very tolerant toward the blasphemy of Supreme Personality of God. One should not. So, if someone is criticizing God, we should not tolerate that. Either we leave the association of that devotee. I think that is probably the best way, rather than hearing something bad about Krishna. Right? So, I will end here. Any comments or reflections before we end?
Prabhuji, just one more question again,
Yes.
Prabhuji. I hope
Yes.
it will just a dumb question, Prabhuji,
No
regarding the
problem.
seventh point, the demigods.
Huh.
So, we have festivals, right, Prabhuji?
Yes.
It's not like disrespecting any demigod or any festival, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
If I'm not interested on any other festival, is that okay, right, Prabhuji? Like,
Yes.
or is it a wrong?
See, Prabhu,
Any festival not related to Krishna, Prabhuji.
yeah, let's say you have a wife
Yeah,
and you have a female colleague in your office. You don't
yes,
deal the same with any of that, right? You
exactly, Prabhuji.
understand? You still respect the other person. You agree?
Yes,
It's not disrespecting others because you think, oh, you say I love you to your wife. You don't say I love you to your colleague.
yes.
Simply, right?
What will
Right?
me? Yeah,
Why? Because very simple thing is you have certain relationship with your family member. You do not have a same relationship with other people, but that does not mean that you are
yeah.
disrespecting them.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
We give our heart. If we give our heart to Krishna, we don't give our heart to anyone else, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Of
Because
course.
no, I hear a lot of these comments, Prabhuji, because my relatives, my aunts, uncles, they are devotees to Krishna. So they won't celebrate any festival. It's not
Mm,
like, don't, I mean, even we thought like even my parents are why they don't do all this and all. But
mm.
later I got to know, like, once I understand the Krishna consciousness, so then, okay, that could be the reason. So even I was in that mind, Prabhuji. That is the reason I asked this question.
Prabhu, based on so many years in Krishna consciousness, I learned in hard way, and I want to share my own few cents here. Even if Ganesh Chaturthi happens at some place, like devotees' house, a lot of devotees come. I go there, offer my pranam to Ganesh Dev. Okay, please give me that intelligence so that I can keep
Yeah.
Krishna consciousness as my goal of life.
Yes.
And when I go to Lord Shiva, Shivratri comes, I offer. I don't drink bang or whatever they drink there, thinking that, oh, this is means drink, because that is very ill way of, or very wrong way of actually worshipping that festival. Lord
Yeah.
Shiva also took poison. Do we drink poison? We say, oh, Lord Shiva, drink bang, and we will drink bang or whatever. I don't know what you call it as Hindi
Yeah,
mein
I
bang
understand.
bolte hain.
Yeah.
So, Lord Shiva also drank poison. Why don't you drink poison? No, we don't. So, if you want to copy, then you copy everything. A lot of people say, oh, Krishna had girlfriend. I will also have girlfriend. Krishna also lifted Govardhan. Can you lift Govardhan hill?
Yeah, probably.
So, so one has to be careful, but at the same time, if the opportunity comes, you don't want to show I did that and I'm just, you don't want to show अरे मैं तो great हूँ, मैं भगवान कृष्ण की पूजा करता हूँ, मेरे को बाकी सब देवता का नहीं करना, which I used to do, is not a good way. Be an example. We offer respect to these devatas. Even if these festivals are there, we go sometime, but we do not participate in this ill kind of activities. Like they play, they play
Music, yeah.
cards and,
Drum.
mundane music. We don't do that. Our intention is clear. We probably become a better worshipper of the devata than anybody else, because we align that along with Krishna, and the demigod will be very pleased. Makes sense, Proji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
It
Thank you.
says, one who leaves the body in Kashi, Lord Shiva personally comes and chants the Hare Krishna Ma mantra into the ear of that person who's leaving in Kashi.
Yes, Prabhu. I was just watching one of the podcast the other day. The
Hmm.
Manikarnika Ghat never,
Yes.
the fire never, like, always fire.
Hmm.
One or other, jo cheetah, the, the
Yeah.
final,
Yeah.
every time there is no Manikarnika, only the Manikarnika Ghat only.
Hmm.
The fire never stop.
Yeah. So you can imagine Lord Shiva personally coming and chanting the name Hare Krishna Ma mantra in the ear of the person who's leaving the body.
Yeah, but actually, there is so many people, the youth or not youth doesn't matter. I think because of the social media and everything else, become a style or trends. I think they just don't. Some of them they are good. If you can follow